What if I told you that one of the most powerful companies in human history doesn't build cars, make smartphones, or own oil fields? It sells flavored sugar water. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Yet somehow, this single drink found its way into almost every country on Earth. Today, Coca-Cola products are sold in more than 200 countries and territories. Every single day, billions of servings of Coca-Cola beverages are consumed around the world. From the streets of New York to small villages in Africa, from luxury hotels in Dubai to tiny roadside shops in South America, the same red and white logo appears almost everywhere. But here's the real question. How did one simple drink become so powerful that people recognize its logo faster than the flags of many countries? And how did a product that almost failed during its first year become one of the most valuable brands in history? The answer isn't just about taste. It's about psychology. It's about business. It's about timing. And it's about one of the greatest marketing machines the world has ever seen. Because Coca-Cola didn't simply sell a beverage. It sold happiness. It sold memories. It sold an idea. And that idea quietly conquered the planet. To understand how this happened, we have to travel back more than 140 years, long before giant factories, billion-dollar advertisements, or Super Bowl commercials existed. Our story begins in Atlanta, Georgia, in the year 1886. At the time, America was still recovering from the Civil War. Medicines were often homemade, pharmacies mixed their own syrups, and people believed many health problems could be solved with special tonics. One pharmacist, Dr. John Stith Pemberton, was searching for exactly that. Pemberton had served in the Civil War and suffered from painful injuries afterward. Like many people of his era, he experimented with medicinal formulas, hoping to create something that would relieve pain, improve mood, and become commercially successful. After months of testing different ingredients, he created a dark-colored syrup with a unique flavor. The original formula was mixed with carbonated water and served at Jacob's Pharmacy in downtown Atlanta for just 5 cents a glass. The drink had no television commercials, no celebrity endorsements, no global strategy. In fact, during its first year, it sold only a small number of glasses each day. The business earned very little money, and there was no sign that this tiny pharmacy drink would ever become famous. If the story had ended there, Coca-Cola would probably be forgotten today. But sometimes, history changes because of one unexpected decision. And in Coca-Cola's case, that decision wasn't made by the inventor. It was made by a businessman who saw something that almost everyone else completely missed. Before anyone believed Coca-Cola could become a global product, one man looked beyond the drink itself and imagined something much bigger. Not a beverage, a brand. That single idea would change the future of business forever. For Dr. John Pemberton, Coca-Cola was simply another experiment. But for one ambitious businessman, it looked like the opportunity of a lifetime. His name was Asa Candler. In the late 1880s, Candler began buying the rights to Coca-Cola from Pemberton and the people connected to the formula. Over time, he gained control of the business. While historians still debate the exact details of those transactions, one fact is undeniable. Without Asa Candler, Coca-Cola might never have become a global icon. Here's why. Most people believe success came from making a better product. Candler believes success came from making people remember your product. That single difference changed everything. Instead of spending all his energy changing the recipe, he focused on something almost no one else understood at the time: brand recognition. He wanted people to see the name Coca-Cola so often that they would remember it without even realizing it. It was a revolutionary idea in the late 19th century. At that time, advertising was simple: small newspaper notices, painted wooden signs, word of mouth, nothing more. But Candler thought much bigger. He printed thousands of coupons offering people a free glass of Coca-Cola. Today, free samples are common. Back then, it was almost unheard of. People who had never heard of the drink suddenly had a reason to try it. And once they liked it, many came back with their own money. It was one of the earliest examples of what modern marketers call customer acquisition. Candler wasn't just selling a drink, he was creating future customers. But he didn't stop there. Soon, Coca-Cola's name began appearing everywhere. It was painted on brick buildings, printed on calendars, displayed on clocks, written on serving trays, printed on notebooks, decorated on soda fountains. Even pharmacies received branded merchandise for free, encouraging them to display the Coca-Cola name where every customer could see it. Think about that for a second. More than a century before social media, before YouTube, before television, people were already being surrounded by Coca-Cola advertising. The goal wasn't to convince you immediately. The goal was much smarter. Make the name impossible to forget. Psychologists today call this the mere exposure effect. The more often people see something, the more familiar it feels. And the more familiar it feels, the more they tend to trust it. Coca-Cola was using this principle decades before scientists formally described it. By the early 1890s, sales were climbing rapidly. The company that had once struggled to sell a few glasses each day was now becoming one of America's fastest-growing beverage businesses. But another problem was waiting, and it threatened to stop Coca-Cola's growth completely. At that time, Coca-Cola could only be enjoyed at soda fountains. If you wanted a Coke, you had to visit a pharmacy or a soda shop. That meant millions of potential customers simply couldn't buy one. Imagine trying to build a global company today if customers could only buy your product in one type of store. Growth would eventually hit a wall. Then, in 1899, two lawyers from Tennessee approached Coca-Cola with an unusual proposal. Benjamin Thomas and Joseph Whitehead believed Coca-Cola shouldn't stay inside soda fountains. They believed it belonged inside bottles. The company's leadership wasn't convinced. In fact, bottling seemed like a distraction. Glass bottles were expensive. Transportation was difficult. Many executives thought people preferred drinking fresh Coca-Cola at soda fountains anyway. But the two businessmen refused to give up. Eventually, they secured the bottling rights. At the time, almost nobody realized how important that agreement would become. It would turn out to be one of the smartest business deals in history. Because once Coca-Cola entered bottles, everything changed. Now people could take it home, carry it on trains, drink it at work, serve it at family gatherings, and eventually buy it almost anywhere. For the first time, Coca-Cola wasn't limited by location. It became portable, convenient, and infinitely more profitable. But success created a brand new problem. As Coca-Cola became more popular, dozens of companies started copying it. Some named their drinks Coca-Nola. Others used names that looked or sounded almost identical. Many even copied the logo style to confuse customers. Fake Coca-Colas began appearing across America. The company suddenly faced a battle that every successful brand eventually encounters: imitation. And Coca-Cola's next move wouldn't just protect the company. It would create one of the most recognizable packages ever designed. A bottle so unique that people could identify it in complete darkness, or even from a broken piece of glass. That single design would become one of the greatest branding decisions in business history. By the early 1900s, Coca-Cola was growing faster than almost anyone had imagined. But success had created a dangerous new problem. Imitations were everywhere. Small companies copied the color, the logo, the advertisements, and even the name. Some bottles looked so similar that customers couldn't tell the difference until they took a sip. For Coca-Cola, this wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a threat to the entire business. If customers couldn't recognize the real product, years of trust and reputation could disappear overnight. The company needed something that competitors couldn't easily copy. Not another slogan, not another advertisement, something people could recognize instantly. In 1915, Coca-Cola challenged glass manufacturers with an unusual request. Design a bottle that could be recognized even in the dark. A bottle so unique that someone could identify it simply by touching it. And even if it shattered on the ground, a single broken piece should still reveal exactly what it was. It sounded almost impossible, but one design changed history forever. Inspired by the curved shape of a cocoa pod, designers created the famous contour bottle with its elegant curves and distinctive silhouette. The moment it appeared, it stood out from every other bottle on the shelf. You didn't even need to read the label. One glance was enough. It wasn't just packaging anymore, it became part of the brand itself. More than a century later, that same iconic shape is still recognized by millions of people around the world. Very few products can claim that. But while the bottle protected Coca-Cola's identity, another mystery was quietly making the brand even more fascinating: the recipe. Almost everyone has heard the story: the secret formula. For decades, Coca-Cola has carefully protected the exact recipe of its flagship drink. Only a small number of people are said to know the complete formula at any given time. And over the years, the company has cultivated the image that the original recipe is one of its greatest secrets. Whether every legend surrounding the formula is true or not, the mystery itself became brilliant marketing. People are naturally curious. We want to know what others don't. The more mysterious the formula became, the more people talked about it. Newspapers wrote stories, rumors spread, books tried to uncover the ingredients, conspiracy theories appeared. Free publicity continued for decades. In many ways, Coca-Cola wasn't just selling a drink anymore. It was selling a story. And stories travel much farther than products. As the company expanded across America, another challenge emerged. How could Coca-Cola ensure that a bottle purchased in New York tasted exactly like one sold hundreds of miles away? Consistency. This is where Coca-Cola made another revolutionary decision. Instead of building and operating every factory itself, the company relied on a carefully controlled bottling system. Independent bottling partners produced the drink locally, but they had to follow strict quality standards set by Coca-Cola. Every ingredient, every production process, every quality check, everything had to meet the company's requirements. This allowed Coca-Cola to grow at an incredible speed without owning every factory. It was a business model that many companies would later study and imitate. Soon, bottling plants appeared across the United States. Delivery trucks carried crates of Coca-Cola to grocery stores, restaurants, hotels, train stations, and small family-owned shops. No matter where people traveled, Coca-Cola was there waiting for them. Availability became one of the company's greatest strengths. But Coca-Cola understood something even more important than being available. It had to become unforgettable. Instead of simply telling people their drink tasted good, the company began connecting Coca-Cola with life's happiest moments. Family picnics, summer vacations, baseball games, movie nights, friendly conversations, holiday celebrations. Every advertisement carried the same emotional message. This isn't just a drink, it's part of your best memories. Over time, millions of people stopped thinking about Coca-Cola as just another beverage. It became associated with celebration, comfort, and togetherness. This emotional connection was incredibly powerful. Competitors could copy the ingredients, they could lower prices, they could create similar bottles, but copying decades of trust and emotional attachment was almost impossible. By the 1920s and 1930s, Coca-Cola had become one of America's most recognizable brands. Yet the company's biggest expansion was still ahead. An event that changed the entire world was about to begin. A conflict that would reshape countries, economies, and businesses alike. And strangely enough, it would also help turn Coca-Cola into one of the first truly global consumer brands in history.